I'm happy to present to you our project, Pengunaut Trainer, a playful VR app to prepare children for MRI exams. Yeah, so as I said, first I want to introduce us. We are Dr. Oliver Basu. He's a pediatric oncologist and physician for palliative care and medical IT. So he's working in two fields, one being a clinical working senior consultant at the bone marrow transplantation unit, and on the other hand, as the head of the Department of Medical Informatics at the Children's Hospital. And my name is Stefan Liszio. I'm a researcher and former member of the Entertainment Computing Group at the University of Duisburg-Essen. But since August, I am part of Oliver's team at the Children's University Hospital in Essen. So where I work with him on even more projects to support our young patients' well-being with entertainment technology. I did a lot of research in the field of how VR and games can be used to enhance the user's emotions and well-being, especially focusing on stress and anxiety reduction. Together, we are working on the Pengunaut Trainer since 2017. The project arose from a publicly funded project called VR Relax, where we and our partners developed solutions to MRI-related anxiety and stress so we can avoid sedation. As most of you will know, magnetic resonance imaging, or MRI, is painless and non-invasive, but many children often react with stress and fear and physical restlessness to the MRI environment, which complicates the examination and hampers the image quality. So it is common to sedate children, which is not without health risks for the patients. For example, in Essen, about 650 out of 2,000 pediatric MRI scans per year are performed under sedation or general anesthesia. So what are the options for reducing MRI-related anxiety in children? There's a wide variety of approaches. Which one works best is, of course, highly dependent on the characteristics and preferences of the individual patient, as well as their social situation and the hospital's resources. Some approaches are, for example, using illustrated storybooks, play therapeutic approaches, or behavioral therapy, and also distraction like they use in the children's MRI built in Dortmund, Germany, where they use 360-degree animated video projections to make their MRI machines look nicer. Our idea was to combine all these methods to one comprehensive intervention in order to make it easier for the children to get on board and to make the otherwise stressful and fearful situation as positive as possible. We decided to take a game-based approach and present the various contents and therapeutic measures in the form of mini-games, which I will introduce in a moment. It was also clear to us that effective and sustainable fear reduction is only possible through habituation. So our concept is therefore based on a systematic desensitization of the patient through repeated exposure to the frightening features of the MRI examination. Thus, we decided to design our intervention as a repeated training to which the patients should be motivated playfully and through an engaging child-appropriate story. As a further measure to motivate the children to use the app repeatedly, and as a physical reward system and counterpart to the otherwise completely digital intervention, we designed the so-called Space Pass, as you can see on the right corner of my slides. This Space Pass is a small scrapbook in which the patients can document their training progress by scratching off the picture panels after each successful training session. To enable the desensitization through exploration, we choose to use virtual reality as a technology to allow patients to experience the MRI and radiology department from home. We designed the Pengunaut Trainer as a mobile VR application that can be used with smartphones, since almost every child has access to a smartphone as opposed to the more sophisticated VR goggles. So the patients can use the app and train whenever and wherever they want and do not depend on the hardware owned by the hospital. Yeah, here you can see the in-game area modeled, which we modeled in accordance to a real hospital environment. We have 3 sections. First, the player can explore the registration area with a waiting room and the game corner. This is where the introduction to the game and the onboarding process starts. Then we have the MRI control room in the middle. And finally, we have the examination room with our virtual MRI machine. We focused on creating a realistic environment with authentic noises, different characters, and a comprehensive and informative storyline. The 3 areas represent the typical structure of a radiology facility. And at the same time, as the children progress through the story and the game, they come closer step by step to the MRI. Right at the beginning of the game, at the virtual MRI reception in the waiting room, the players can select what we call a courage formula, which is an autosuggestive phrase that suggests calmness and bravery and is associated with an animal. So throughout the game, the children learn to focus on the chosen courage formula and use it during the MRI examination. Next, I will show you 3 short clips of in-game footage to demonstrate the minigames, and I really hope that the sound is working.
Did you know that the MRI scanner is nothing but a giant magnet? That means if you take magnetic objects into the MRI scanner, they will be attracted. This can be dangerous and interfere with the examination, so you should not have metallic things with you.
So this is the game called RoboMagneto. It aims to inform the players about the magnetic properties of the MRI scanner and which objects are allowed to be carried to the scanner room. In this game, the player can choose between different objects placed on the table and select the objects they believe to be magnetic. The little robot then shows them whether they're right or wrong. And after they have tried each object or found each magnetic object, the game processes. So here we are in the MRI room. The game is called MRI Controller. It is a direct implementation. Yes, this was one of the courage formulas. So in this game is a direct implementation of the play therapeutic methods to familiarize the players with the steps of the MRI examination. And as you may see in the next scene, the player has here the possibility to operate the MRI device by using these buttons to control the table and to start the scan. This is the first time where the players hear the characteristic noises of the MRI machine. And yeah, in the next steps, the companion is carried out of the machine and then says that she had no fear and that it doesn't hurt and it was not so stressful as she thought. The last game is called Stargazer, which represents the last step of our gradual exposure therapy. This is where the player themselves experience an MRI scan in VR. So what we didn't see here, because we had to cut the clip a little bit, the players are asked to lie down flat on their back in reality and are then transported into the MRI machine. Then we start with a calming off voice, which explains the steps and rules of the game, and the narration comprises elements of progressive muscle relaxation and autogenic training, as well as imaginative relaxation. These stars you see in the video are then popping out, and the lines are connecting the stars. as long as the player does not move. If the player moves, the connections turn red and the connection process stops. This is used as a feedback because, yeah, we want the children to learn that they are not supposed to move during the scan. The game Stargazer comprises 5 increasingly difficult levels, with difficulty being determined by the length of the virtual scan, which ranges from 1 to 8 minutes, and the increasing number of constellations that were shown, as well as the number of connections between the stars per constellation. We are, to gain insight into how the young patients evaluate the Pengunaut Trainer, we conducted a clinical trial. The study was carried out at the Essen University Hospital and the Child's Hospital Cologne. We recruited patients who were scheduled for an MRI examination at least 1 week, but not more than 3 months in the future. The participants were assigned randomly to either the Pengunaut Trainer group or a control group, which was prepared for the examination according to the clinic standard. Each participant received a set of questionnaires and the necessary instructions and materials for the study. The study can be divided into 3 times of measurement. The first measurement happened right after the study enrollment and before the first training session, so this measurement serves as our baseline. The second measurement was immediately before the appointment, and the third measurement happened directly after the MRI examination. We also asked the parents and the radiology staff to answer short questionnaires after the examination. In addition to the self-reported measures, we implemented an in-game tracking system to record the participants' behavior while playing. Also, after each gaming session, the players were asked how they liked the game on a 3-point smiley scale, as you can see on the right side. The patients rated all 3 mini-games very well, with 67 to 75% positive ratings. And especially encouraging for us was the fact that the Stargazer minigame received very high ratings. Since this game represents the actual MRI scan, this is remarkable considering that the need to lie still during the game and the loud noises of the virtual scanner could have led to a much worse player experience. Before each training, we displayed a 10-point visual analog scale inside the app, which asked the participants to how they feel about the upcoming appointment. And this graph illustrates the progression of these anxiety values over the last 14 days before the MRI examination. The blue dots mark the varying numbers of responses per day, since not every child trained on each day before the examination. It was completely free to the children how often they trained. The course of the anxiety level shows a downward trend while the number of responses increases. This indicates that the participants trained more often the closer the MRI examination got, and they experienced less anxiety with each training session. We compared effect and anxiety in the baseline measurement with the post-training measurement, and these box plots illustrate that positive effect was significantly higher after the training, while negative effect and state anxiety were significantly reduced. So after the training phase, the children experienced significantly less anxiety and more positive feelings about the upcoming MRI examination than before. When we compared the Pengunaut Trainer group to the control group, we found that before the MRI scan, the control group reported 3.8% higher negative effect levels than the Pengunaut Trainer group, who reported a decrease of 10.1% in negative effect. So we investigated the effect of training frequency in the Pengunaut Trainer group on anxiety reduction. And on average, each participant played 3.2 sessions of Stargazer. We then performed a linear regression analysis, which indicated that the number of training sessions is a significant predictor for changes in the negative effect levels from baseline to post-measurement, post-training measurement, sorry. Hence, training frequency explains 38% of the variance in the decrease of negative feelings towards the MRI examination. The Pengunaut Trainer group reported a higher level of positive feelings before the MRI examination than the control group. And also during the MRI examination, the Pengunaut Trainer group reported more positive feelings than the control group. However, it should be noted that these differences are not statistically significant, but as we, in the complete picture, we would see our hypothesis to be assured when we look at the descriptive values. After they have completed the MRI scan, we asked the participants how well they felt prepared for the scan by the Pengunaut Trainer and how they felt during the scan. And the children who felt prepared experienced less anxiety and more positive feelings during the scan. And also they reported to have less problems lying still. And as I said earlier, we also asked the parents and the radiology staff to rate the MRI examination for their children and how they perceived their the emotional responses of the children. And according to the parents and the staff, the children in the Pengunaut Trainer group were braver, cried less, and were calmer motorically and overall more cooperative. So as a conclusion, the Pengunaut Trainer is a successful measure for promoting positive feelings both before and during the examination. As anxiety and negative feelings were significantly reduced and positive feelings towards the MRI examination were significantly increased. The children considered the training to be a joyful and useful activity that helped them effectively. Parents and radiology staff described the Pengunaut Trainer as child-friendly and helpful. So the Pengunaut Trainer helps increasing children's well-being and cooperativeness during the MRI examination. The app, the Pengunaut Trainer, is available for both iPhones and Android smartphones for free. At this point, I want to express a big thank you and our gratitude to Child's Play, who supported our project so we can keep the Pengunaut Trainer alive by continuously updating and improving the app. And also with the support of Child's Play, we were able to translate the app to Spanish and French. The Spanish version will be released in the next days, and the French version is scheduled for early 2023. So we will post the links in the chat, and if you like to get in touch with us or want more information, please use our website. And yeah, finally, I want to give you a short outlook to our next project called Sweet Dive VR, which is a VR game that creates distraction and brings fun into the otherwise painful and scary situation of needle punctures. Our core idea here was to involve the parents in the game. So in this VR game, only the kids can see the game world through the Pico VR goggles, and they must give instructions to their parents to trigger actions in the game. The parents play with a simple or standard game controller, but do not see the VR, the game world. So we hope that we can achieve a dynamic, interactive, and cooperative gameplay that engages both parents and the patients alike and distracts both of them from the procedure. So at the moment, we are about to start a clinical trial to evaluate this game, and hopefully we can tell you more about this maybe next year at the next symposium. Yeah, as I said before, you can find more information about our project on our website, and you can also follow us on Facebook if you like to stay tuned about any news and project updates. This talk, and if you have any questions, so I will be happy to answer them, and maybe we can reach out at Gather Town afterwards. Thank you so much.